Welcome back everyone to Let's Play GearCity, episode number 2 of our Let's Play series on this. In the first episode we really rushed through I would say even, a design, a Phaeton. And because that Phaeton happens to be pretty popular with the folks right now in the United States, in North America I should say, at 8.8%, so I don't remember what it started at, but it was more or less that. I think luxury sedan might have dropped, I mean, despite the obvious, right, the downward arrow seems to indicate that, but I thought that sedan and luxury sedan started at almost the same thing. Anyway, so we put this one on. We got 1 month of profit out of it, 70,000. We basically blindly, I mean, a little bit of luck here, obviously. I didn't calculate all the numbers out perfectly and just happened to magically get this on the dot because of my impressive skill at this game. No, there was quite a little bit of luck. When you have missed sales, it means that the game is friendly enough, I think this is quite nice, to report to you that, hey, 3 people tried to buy your car and they couldn't because you didn't have any left. That it does bring me to the point where right now we are producing at a factory 5 lines, and these are production speed is, it's a little, I mean, it's basically right in the middle, and the point is that the model quality, the important thing is this plus 0.00. As you tweak this number, so we're at 57, we'll probably go back to that, or I don't know, maybe we won't. As I decrease the amount of production speed, we're gonna obviously produce less vehicles off the line per month, but the quality of those is gonna go up. And naturally, if you really crank on this and say, hey, we need you to turn those vehicles out and cut corners, the quality suffers. The main reason I don't like to do this, although the return on your investment here is so good, it's like you can make bonkers money doing this. And it might even make sense because our vehicle is so like crazy over, like it's over statted. I don't know what the word is. It's way too good for the market. We can probably sell this thing even if it was slightly, significantly worse. So maybe we will crank on this a little bit at the higher production rate. Let's just read this, okay. If we focus on quality, the production lines will move slower. If we focus on quantity, the production lines will move faster. Faster production hurts the build quality of vehicles, and it decreases the quality ratings of the vehicles and slowly hurts the company image. It does, however, increase the number of vehicles produced per production line. And that reduces overhead cost per vehicle, thus making the total price of manufacturing much cheaper. By doing this, you can lower prices without losing profit margins, and by lowering prices, you will increase demand for the vehicles. So the main problem with the quality thing is just this kind of like long-term effect. One, it damages the vehicle and reputation, quality. I mean, this is like a permanent mark against the quality. And I don't fully understand that. It feels like, I don't argue with the game mechanics, because it's like an interesting gameplay mechanic, but okay, anyways, let's not talk too much about this. I'm going to set it to 98, why not? We're only going to lose 0.03 per month for a while. This does also damage our company reputation, which I can't remember where that is. Let's see if I can pull that up. Gosh, where is it? Company directory? Is this the one? No, it's not directory. There's a company reputation thing, and I don't know where that is. Oh, well. I'll find it off camera and bring it back. But anyway, for right now, we're happy because our vehicle's making 70,000, and now that we have just massively increased the number of vehicles. Since we only missed 2 sales, we have to cut down the price. When you do this arrow, you can see that there's 155 potential customers in this price range. So that means that, well, in theory, why can't we get 155 people? Yeah, well, the short answer is we can't. Actually, the type rating that I'm dealing with here, maybe this is just because it's medium, but we're actually competing with some pretty good types right next to us. So I'm going to drop this a little bit by 100. And if you're wondering, I haven't done the math on this, but I'm very, very confident that dropping this by 100, but selling twice as many vehicles, is going to be a massive benefit and profit. The thing I don't know, however, is whether or not we're going to sell all those vehicles. So we just manipulated the numbers a little bit. This went up to 175. I actually don't think that that's going to be enough. Let's just drop this let's just stick to solid numbers here. We'll drop it to 2,300. So we're edging closer to the price of the Clyde 6725. Let's see how that goes. We don't really have enough money to be doing another design right now, but the next thing I'm interested in doing is trying to bring up a contract. Let's look at this after I finish a month, and let's see how my adjustments went. Yes, we obviously did not do well. The adjustments did not go well. We sold 66. If I look at the previous month, we sold 57 at a lot more. So yeah, I guess we didn't move in the right direction is the end. And that's because we didn't sell all the vehicles. So we would have probably made more of a profit if we had sold all the vehicles, but we didn't. So what I'll probably end up doing is, okay, just do not show again. Let me roll back this number a little bit. It's pretty aggressive. We already have like this build up. Is it 57, I think? There we go, 56. So we'll take it back down. It's gonna be at 36.97 for forever, but that's not a big deal. Take down to 56, and we'll just only, I don't know if we want to maybe increase the price a little bit still. Another thing we could do is actually open another branch. Okay, we're not selling all of them in New York City. Well, why not sell them in Philadelphia then? Let's just go ahead and open up a branch here. And you know what? I'm so confident that this vehicle and the next one and the next one after that are going to make money that we're going to pour like a lot of money into this. So this is going to be a $12,000 monthly cost. Again, our profit right now is $40,000, so this is a pretty bold move. Maybe I'll take this down. Just a smidge. Alright, we're going to go with this. It's a pretty expensive branch, but Philadelphia is going to come through for me. I can feel it. So we'll do that, and now if I go back over to the office, we can sell our vehicles in two places. How this works is the game is actually going to ship from the factory location in New York to Philadelphia. And there's a cost associated with that, so it's better to sell them right where the factory is in New York, which is what we'll be doing for the most part. There are some games, by the way, you can play, going back over the world map, some really interesting games you can play where you can see that the cost of labor in New York is 29, whereas in Philadelphia it's probably also 29, yeah, and in a lot of places in the United States it's all going to be 29. However, if you're in Europe, this is a lot more interesting of a thing. Cologne has price of 21, but Genoa has price of 12. So you can have your factory producing cars in Genoa and you can ship them over to places in Germany without having to pay the higher cost for labor of producing cars at the factory there. So it's really interesting. The game, I mean, this is a Tycoon game. This is a business simulation game, and it has a lot of these cool little things that are modeled in there. For us in the US, it's actually kind of nice. It's like a tutorial land. We don't really have to worry about that too much. And honestly, that is interesting to deal with, but you have to manage the micromanagement. How much micromanagement do you want to go through? Alright, so let's see. I'm now opening a new branch, and this one's not going to start with that for sale. So $0 is the same thing as saying it's not for sale. But if I go back over to this, it's $23.50, apply to all. Now Philadelphia is also going to sell this vehicle for $23.50. Hey, if we wanted, we could try to upcharge the people in Philadelphia, knowing that we're not going to get quite as much. I don't know what the cost of shipping to Philadelphia will be. It'll be pretty small. But this has, 131 customers here. So in theory, we should double our output. I might even do something as crazy as increase the price a little bit, because I think we will be able to sell them all. Alright, so let's end the turn and see what we get. Alright, and look at that. We went from 70,000, we mucked around with it a little bit. What happened here is it's kind of cheating, right? Because we're actually borrowing from our previous, we borrowed some of the expenses. The expenses, we paid, we produced some of the cars in the past, so we essentially paid some of the expenditures in the past. Those got built up into the reserve. And then we sold those, because now we're back down to 56 production. Well, hey, now that we have a branch in Philadelphia, we probably could open up the production again. So let's just see if we can get all the things to line up. I'm playing around here. I'm not an excellent player at this game. Maybe we won't go full on. What if we just go to something like 70? Well, 76. That's a nice number for the Philadelphia 76ers. Minus 0.01 a month. Let's just try that out. So let's go ahead and let's leave the price about the same. Let's see. Did we actually miss on any sales? Oh yeah, we missed on a ton of sales. So that's a good sign that we can actually raise the price again. Let's go back up to 2,400. Apply that. All right, let's see if we got all of our our engine firing on all cylinders, to use an appropriate analogy. No, something's up. 70,000. Is it because of the materials cost though? Like I said, we did pay for some of these cars in the past. Well, we're basically right back down to 70,000. We missed a ton of sales, so we're not optimized yet. All right, and we've got some new awards, new contract requests. I do want to cover contracts. In fact, how's our money doing? I mean, we're making money, right? If I'm making 70 or 100 or 40, whatever. At least we're making money. We're back up to almost 500,000. So the company is successful. I think what we need to do is raise the price of this thing since we have missed sales. And a missed sale is either an opportunity to produce more, or it's an opportunity to increase the price because, let's get supply to match demand. Let me just increase this by, I'm going to go up by 70 here. I think that might work. But I'm just going to leave that where it is. Let's go to the contracts section. Okay, so this is showing me all the contracts. What I want to start looking at is a trend. Let's start looking for trends. First of all, there are ship contracts. In fact, instead of just doing ship engine, let me just go over to the military contracts. These are really fun to try to grab. I don't recommend, on easy gameplay, the contracts that you can pick up for the fixed cost ones are amazing. You can make insane amount of money doing those. I would say that with the contracts on the normal difficulty, there's not a whole lot of overhead. You might be better off in most cases not going with a military design. And in particular, what I'm talking about is a design you make specifically for the military. If you happen to design a car, I should say, that fits into the contract for somebody's army, obviously it's a no-brainer to apply. There's no fee to apply. One of the things you might want to do if you're really, really serious about doing contracts is you can go over to the lobbyist and you can adjust your budget for the lobbyist by some fixed percentage, And I think the way this works, which I think is a shame. I don't like games which, like in Oblivion, or I think it was Skyrim too. I mean, a bunch of these games, they level up the difficulty of the enemies when you level up. The way this works, I believe, is that the budget for lobbying, the effect of this lobbying budget is as a proportion of your current revenue or something like that. And I find that that's a shame. I don't think that your lobbying effectiveness should... if I give 2,000 and I'm a small company, or if I give 100,000 and I'm a large company, the 100,000 should have more of an effect. The 100,000 should make the larger company more likely to win the contract. But as far as I understand, just FYI, it's a percentage-based thing. Anyway, so you might want to kick up the lobbying thing if you're really interested in grabbing a lot of military contracts. I did that on my easy campaign. I don't know if it made much of an effect. You don't actually get much feedback on the contracts. It just tells you, usually, I guess, that, they went with an outside hire. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Oh, well, look at this. We have... this is a racing contract. The GearCity Cup Series is looking for a spec chassis to use in their vehicles. They require 670 units in 1 month. They will pay... This is where you can make a lot of money. Okay, so this is where we should be looking for these kind of contracts. It's green, by the way, if you have any kind of qualifying design that you can submit. It's blue if you submit the design, and this is next month. Well, how fortuitous. So we're going to submit our chassis, which is potentially a candidate, for this GearCity Cup. Looking for a spec chassis to use in their vehicles. They require 672 units in 1 month. They will pay $3,300. Now, God help us, I have no idea if we can produce 672. If we fail to meet the requirement, there is a penalty. They don't talk about any grace period. So we may have to really think about this. I think it might be time... Yeah, so we're going to have to... I might need to save the game here because this might actually fail us completely. I don't think we can handle that bankrupt I mean the default on this. Yeah, so if we fail to meet the required amount, there is a $13 million penalty. That would be a game-ending amount. So we obviously can't produce 700 cars, but I don't know if we can produce 600 chassis. I suspect that we cannot. What's the workaround here? Well, one of the things we could do if we were really, really interested in pursuing contracts is we could get a second factory going. I like to look for places with high labor skill and low labor wage. Again, for the US, that's not a big deal. Baltimore's not a bad choice. I don't really need another factory in next to New York, because New York's already got that covered for me. Plus, there are some downsides to Philadelphia. You can see that manufacturing growth, well, I guess it's only low because manufacturing capacity is already so high. Infrastructure is good, manufacturing capacity is good, it's got growth, got okay resources. We could probably find some place with better resources, like Detroit, of course. We could put a factory in Detroit. I mean, it's kind of a fitting thing to do. Labor skill is a 3-star there. What are we looking at over here? We're looking at much better labor skill. And Baltimore is actually where I put my last time. This is a really good... I think we'll probably put a factory in Chicago then as well. So let's actually start getting a factory going. Oh, I mean, just kidding. We're not going to be able to afford this. I'm insane. If we got a loan or something, we'd be able to afford this. So I'm actually not sure we're going to be able to do a contract even. Okay, I just went ahead and made the save, just in case this actually does win. If we actually win the contract, I don't know if we can... it's a very low chance that we actually win this contract anyway, but we're going to go ahead and submit for it and see what happens. If we can submit it and actually can afford it, I mean, to do the production, we'll make a lot of money off this. So it'll be very good. But let's go over to the military contract. So this is the racing contract one that we happen to get. We can see like what the other ones are. They want, this is a sports vehicle. We're definitely not going to have sports vehicles. Sports vehicle, sports vehicle, sports vehicle. So obviously not all of these are sports vehicle. Here's an engine. They want a 100 HP engine. Now this would be really fun to design. I actually really like designing these. The problem is, unless you, so the design cost, you're going to eat that if this doesn't actually sell. They want 131 units. Actually 131, I mean, let's pretend that our engine costs like 1,000. We get 3,000 off that. Yeah, I guess that would make up for itself in the end. And look at this, defaulting on this contract will cost 32,000. That seems a lot more reasonable to me than defaulting will cost 13 million. But anyways, we'll find out whether or not we're going to do that one or not. But it's cool just seeing all these different contracts. And actually, it's kind of funny to me that a vehicle, these people are going to pay as much for a vehicle as they're willing to pay for just the chassis. So it definitely seems like a good ticket. Okay, finally, let's get to the military contracts. Because they have a lot of trucks you can ask, they're going to ask for. And I think that these are actually good to submit for, I think. Actually, wait, hold your horses for a second. Yeah, no. I was gonna say we can go over to New York. We actually could expand our factory. Just thought about this. This would be just an upgrade. It would only take 2 months. The problem is, it would still take 2 months. This will give us one extra line. I mean, we just need to buy time. Is really, I should have known about this and planned ahead. I think we could sell our vehicles, so I don't think it's a bad idea to do this upgrade. Okay, so I wanted to just go with it. Let's just see what happens. So I ended the turn. I actually didn't even look at my money. Oh, okay, so we're making a little bit less this time. We missed a lot of sales, so we can make more money. Okay, so money's going to happen, but money's not going to happen because we now need our factory to shift off of this, and we need to shift it, so we're going to assign 0 to it, and we need to go back over to our contracts, which is down here, and we need to manage this, and we need to see oh Lord, we can do it. We can do it! We can do it! So I actually were able to produce double. Oh my god, this is awesome. Well, we don't need for all contracts is 672. I think we need 3, right? Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and add one more back. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. So we can do it. So the chassis just happens to be that much cheaper than the vehicle that we can get 670 and then some. This is awesome. Well, I'm shocked, but this is great. All right, so we can still get 2 of these guys cranking out. Let's do like something like this. So we're gonna get still 22 of these. Because there's only 22, we can also charge the hell out of them. Let's crank it up by, I guess 100? We can probably even do more than that. Is there anybody buying at that level? Man, there's still a lot of people buying at that level. Let's go for 2650. It's kind of nuts, but okay, let's see what happens. So all I did was just apply for that contract, go to the next turn, and hey, we won it. Okay, well, I was trying to talk about the military contracts. I just got so caught up in myself. Okay, wait. Yeah, okay. So and somebody was asking me specifically in the comment section about doing the Navy ones. Look at the Navy engines that, at least at the very beginning, probably even a lot of times during the game, they're going to ask you for extremely powerful engines, right? Because an engine for a ship has to be just a lot more powerful than an engine for a car. It's a lot of fun as like a design challenge to put these together. However, if you submit for these and you don't get it, you're completely out all the design costs, so we just can't afford to do that. So anyway, we'll look at contracts more. This has been kind of a goofy episode. I wish I could re-record it, but let's see. Oh my goodness! Holy crap! Holy crap! Woo! 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 And that is how you play the game, ladies and gentlemen. So I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we got a little bit lucky. I almost didn't even try to do this contract because I wasn't sure we'd qualify for it. Now, the good news is that's kind of like a one-time bonus. We can think of this. You can almost think of it as us starting the game with a higher cash injection at this time. I mean, we earned it. We still went for a contract. Weren't sure if we'd make it, but I did save the game and was planning to save scum if I didn't get it. So to be fair, I wasn't completely all in on this like Iron Man type philosophy. Nonetheless, here we are, we made it. So now we can assign all 5 production lines back, and we have money to burn. Oh, this is great. So maybe I can do one of these contracts. You know what? No matter what, let's step into the R&D department and see what we might want to do. So I think what we're going to do is design a pickup. A sedan would be a good choice to just increase our growth. I mean, we could actually build that factory in Chicago if we wanted. I think it'd be a good idea to upgrade our factory in New York. We've seen that we're putting our factory to good use. Anyways, let's look at the contracts. Let's just say vehicles, but really we're going to control it here. No, do not show me that again. All right, so let's get rid of the racing ones. I don't think we qualify for any, and I'm sure if we don't qualify for them that we don't want to try to build these 102 horsepower. It's just insane. Actually, wait, what are you saying? I saw something here. Gearbox. This is interesting. They want us to get a gearbox which can support 357 Newton meters of torque. I could say foot-pounds, by the way. I think it's the more appropriate thing. If you're going with horsepower, why not go with foot-pounds of torque? But I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'm just so married to Newton meters because I've seen it so many times in my time as a physicist and engineer. Okay, anyway, this is 113. So we'd had 11 months to do this. This is doable. Now, if we do this, what we ought to do is we should see, okay, so it is the only chassis available. The downside of going for this then is if we don't get it, again, we just have to eat the entire chassis design cost. Unless we can find a way to make this gearbox useful for another vehicle. Unfortunately, I kind of doubt that that will be the case, because this is just some kind of insane amount of torque. But just as a fun exercise, let's go ahead and see if we could do it even. I don't even think we're going to be able to get this. So So this is going to have all the things. We will just basically go for everything. Shifting ease, we don't care. Gearbox dependability. I mean, these things matter. We'll come back to them. The most important thing is, can we get this to... Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Okay, we got it to 250, basically choosing everything we could. Yeah, so this is not going to be able to get us where we want to go, unfortunately. Wouldn't need a reverse gear anyway, but... Alright, well, fair enough. We weren't able to get there, but we will be able to with new technology. Which leads me to yet another topic. Kind of jumping all over the place here, but let's just take one moment to go through the research teams. I'm currently, despite my massive money income, obviously, I'm not giving any money back to my research teams. Note that when you have a design, so our design skill, okay, so the design requirements, manufacturing requirements is 39. When you have some chassis, not chassis, but any designs, chassis, cars, whatever. When you have some designs which are above the rating here, so this is our chassis team. If we have some chassis which have a design requirement above 12, we'll change by 0.25 a quarter. I hope I have this right. Hopefully I got this. We'll change by 0.25 a quarter until we get up to, I think, within a point of our design. I think it's all designs from the last 5 years. Maybe it's just averaged together, or maybe it takes the highest of them. I don't know exactly. But basically, if you have some designs which are of some design requirement, whatever the math is there, that's the metric for whether or not you're going to increase on your own without any kind of funding. Because basically the research you're doing is by designing the design itself. However, you can also do independent research, put some extra money into that. I typically like to put this up to like 0.3 or 0.35. Can be a bit expensive. So let's just start off with 10,000 and see what that gives us. That gives us... Okay, you know, I think we'll stick with, let's see, how important are these things we're looking at? Right now we're missing the swing axle, which I don't use anyway. We're also missing the four-wheel drive, which I also don't use anyway, but, you know, that's something actually to shoot for. I think I'm going to stick with this one I'm going to be okay with this one being just plus 0.5, or, well, we'll take plus 0.6 a turn. Alright, and then design, the engine design stuff, this is in my opinion the most important. We'll say 15,000 to start, let's see what that does. Yeah, 0.35, we'll leave it at 15,000, that's fine with me. And then gearbox research, I don't think that this one's that important. It would be nice to get the 5-speed, probably the 6-speed is already reaching, but we'll give this one probably the same thing as the chassis, 7,000. So there we go, we have a 0.6 improvement over 0.25 here. And again, if our design requirements are very low and we aren't gaining that 0.25, we'll at least get the 0.06, the 0.1, and the 0.06. And then we can do some vehicle research. I wish that this had some kind of notification about it. I don't really know what it impacts. You don't get to see what you're going for. But that's fine, because we're just going to feed everything. We'll put 5,000 into this as well, whatever that does. So you can see that this is going to suck up 34,000 money a month, and that's like half of our current profit. I mean, on a normal month, it's half of our current profit. Okay, so Gearbox is not going to cut it for us. Let's look at chassis. There are no chassis contracts out there. I'm sure there's no aircraft engines. Are there any vehicle engines? There's 2. And they are identical. You know what? This is actually interesting enough that, okay, by the way, one of these, 1903, we'd have 11 months. They're both at the same time. Okay, let's actually do this one then. Let's go ahead and shoot for another racing contract. What's our contract? We want within 10 liters and 102 horsepower. So I think what we want to do is the V layout for this. Let's go with 8 cylinders. We might not need all 8, but I don't know which one of those we should do. Probably the T valve. We don't have the supercharger yet, which is going to hold us back a little bit, but I think we can actually get there. Let's find out. So because the contract window sits on the right, I'm going to move these over to the left. Oh, don't be so particular. Anyway, okay. So what do we have here? Let's crank up the size. Yeah, this is maybe... Again, we gotta be under 10,000 cc's. This is gonna be a challenge. And that's why it's fun to do these. So, increase performance. Alright, we're sitting at 87. Reduce that. We haven't done that yet, but okay, let's see which one of these is going to be best for us. Okay, the F head is better than the T head. We're over 100. Okay, let's start talking about this. We're close. We can reduce. Nope, that's the length. We need to reduce this. 111. Alright, we're below and we're at 107. So we made it. 111, 107, 115. Now that is a massive impact on that. I mean, when I see 10,000 and I see 9,900, I think to myself that we're pretty close there. We're actually looking pretty good. And I haven't even done this yet. Oh my gosh. Now you can see that the project cost for this, we're going to eat this if we don't win one of these contracts. We can submit for both, but you know, the possibility of us getting one of them is actually not even that high. And are they going to pay us enough to make it worthwhile? 131, 4,000? How much is this engine going to cost? This engine is going to cost, as I kind of guessed, about 1,000. So our profit should be around 3,000. We can finagle this a little bit. I think we can actually fine-tune this. But they're both identical. Will we win one of them? I don't know. I don't really know. We'll have this engine to use for whatever we really want it to be used for, like for forever. I think we might want to... Should we go for it? These are the kind of questions. I think we'll go for it. Now this engine length and width is just preposterous. If we want to make this a feasible, actually something we could use, then we wouldn't do it. We would not do this. But since we don't really care, we can kind of cut costs a little bit, make the weight kind of extreme. Now, we might not win these contracts if somebody else is submitting something like this, and you know we end up being like having some garbage thing. By the way, E85, 1094. Oh, it's cheaper to go gasoline, so gasoline will go. We can up the performance here, but we can also decrease the performance here. And that just cuts down the cost even more. Don't really care about fuel economy. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. See, dependability, these marks still matter, right? So let's up the dependability. So I think that one's going to be important. And now we can slow this up or speed it down. Speed it up or slow it down. We want it to arrive on 12/1903. So let's slow it down until we get to 12. Okay, because we need to submit it 1 month before the deadline. This submit date, this is confusing, I think, but you have to submit it before this date, not on this date. So don't be confused. You need to submit it before that. That's when the contract decision goes out. So it shouldn't say submit date, it should be like decision date, and it should give you a submission date, which is maybe 1 month before that. Anyway, we're probably going to cut costs again, so some of these things are just going to go down the toilet. I know that this one's going to increase reliability, so I definitely want to do that. But I do like having the material and component cost high. So now we're down to an engine which costs exactly 1,000. Hey, the project cost now is only 30,000, so we're not burning that big of a hole in our wallet if this doesn't work out. There's not a chance in hell that this will ever fit in one of our normal vehicles. The chassis, I don't know if there's a chassis which can support this kind of engine. It's enormous. But they didn't talk about that, so I hope that that's not one of the things they're interested in. Otherwise, I think that we're good to go here. So let's go ahead and build this, and it's preposterous, I know, but here we go. This is the V8 109 HP, so 8 mpg. Not that we really care about it, but that's what it is. Alright, cool, so that engine will be ready just in time for submission, and then we'll check out that contract. Are there other contracts we want to do? I mean, I think I do spend a lot of time on the contract screen. It's a lot of fun. it's just so fun to have a target that you're shooting for. So engine we covered. We can look at ship engines next. So if we want to do a ship engine, which because of our windfall of cash from the last contract, we can actually entertain the idea of doing one. What I'd obviously like to do is pick a contract which satisfies multiple. So we see 122. This is specifically an I2, 448. There's no possibility on God's green earth. It's insane for us to even consider. We made an I3 that was 9 horsepower. They want an I2, which says, I think that this is actually impossible, and you can get contracts which are impossible. So we're gonna have to tell Argentina to go stuff it. That's not reasonable. This is any kind of flat layout or straight layout. They want 92. We could do this. The unit cost 275. So again, one of the big things I should say is I really do not like. Oh wow! Had I known before we submitted the contract, it looks like we would actually have some tie over. See, stupid me. I should have looked at all the contracts. If we had made this engine instead of a V, if we had made it an I using ethanol. Well, we wouldn't have made it in time. This is going to require a submission date in like only 7 months. I guess we could have, but it would have cost a lot more money. Which reminds me, I should probably take a look at that. Oh. Yeah, see, 246, we weren't going to make that anyway. Oh. Well, there you go. The German Navy is going to get a V8 190. That's not right. Dang it, typo. 109. Well, marketing, right? Oh boy. Anyway, wish I could rename that. But this is actually going to work for the German Navy. That's fantastic. I didn't even realize that. That's great. Yeah, if it was actually 190 now, this is preposterous. Okay, so the German Navy is going to get a bid for our quote-unquote 190 horsepower. That's great. So that's going to satisfy our contract fever for a little bit. I suppose I should actually take a look at the vehicles that are being offered as well. Let's take first a look at the civilian ones. There are none. Okay, so everything's military, huh? I'm not going to worry about the racing ones because we already saw that those aren't possible to fulfill. But we have a good chance of picking up a pickup truck here. One of these contracts. I like the fixed costs. I don't like the ones where you bid. So if you have, let's see, the no price ones, you actually submit the price yourself. And normally you can kind of gauge what you might want to, target. But a lot of the times you aren't going to get these contracts. So I just have to emphasize that the contract system is a little wonky. I will go into the details maybe in a future episode. But you actually have to do multiple bids. If the AI is not submitting a bid, the game has a mechanic to prevent like the player just winning every contract if they're the only one submitting bids, so that there's like a score on your contract submission, a minimum score. Like sometimes your contracts will just be thrown out even if it's the best contract, because there weren't enough bids, and there's no report on about that. You'll never know why your contract wasn't accepted. You just gotta live with the fact that sometimes the RNG is not going to favor you. I'm done with the contracts for this episode. I think we're pretty much rounding up this episode as it is. But let's just kind of take a look. Okay, so we sold 287. I want to know, did we? Yeah, we did. We won the best Phaeton. Of course we did, because it's Fa Eternity. This fraternity, Fa Eternity, best name ever is what that should have won. But it won instead that it's the best Phaeton in North America. In fact, it won that it's the best Phaeton in the entire world. So we should see a boost in image, morale, and sales. That's great. I don't know how big of an impact it is, but it's nice just as a nice honorary badge. So let's roll out a few other months. We have 10 months before our engine's ready to go, and I don't think we really need to design anything else. We're throwing plenty of money into... Well, you know what? I actually guess the one other thing we might want to do is expand our factory, which I thought about doing already, and I think that it would be a good idea. So we can just do an upgrade again, and the most efficient upgrade is to just do this. It'll be ready in 4 more months. We'll do this just one time. The next time we're actually going to have to redesign it from scratch. But that's fine. I'm happy. We'll have 7 lines. That's a good number. So we'll upgrade this. It's going to take 750,000. Do it. Make it so. And so we'll be able to sell a lot more Phaetons that way. Did we already mess with this? I think we did. So let's end the turn and see what happens. Missed a whole lot of sales. Yeah, look at this cash flow. Right. This cash flow makes sense. I was trying to figure it out for a moment. Because we're spending a lot on construction. Where's the construction? Wait a second. Something's not adding up. Oh, taxes. Okay. Well, there it is. We just had to spend a lot of money on taxes. Yikes. That's a 35% is no joke. No joke. So that does hurt, but we'll get right back in it. What I should pay attention to, though, is we had 120 missed sales. So we want to do two things, I think. We want to increase the number of vehicles we're producing. Let's go up to 70, see if that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And then let's also increase the price of our vehicle, because we have 2 branches we can sell to. And this is insane, really. I mean, we're at so high of a sales price that we're actually at the point where it doesn't matter how much you increase it, really. There's going to be people, the same number of people. It's like the top 0.1%, it's the same number of people. You know, if you raise the price by $1 million, it's still the same. You didn't eliminate anybody from the pool. So we'll see how this goes. All right, negative 131,000. Tell me why. Yeah, okay. Construction. So if we took this construction out of the picture, we'd be making around 60,000. Okay. Let's increase the price even more. The price must go up. I can't believe that we're selling anything at this. It's like extortion. $28.50 for a Phaeton, man. But it is the full eternity. I mean, they can drive it forever. It's in the name. Okay, we only missed 77 sales there. I mean, profit went up. I think. Boy, that tax really hurt, huh? Keep going. We're still missing sales, so I think I will increase the price a little bit more. And I think that, by the way, that's the factory, isn't it? Yep, upgrade factory. So now we can go back over here and actually increase this. We can probably drop this down a little bit now. Okay, well, I'll just keep it 92. Which means we're going to sell more, so we probably don't need to increase the price. How many did we miss? 70. Well, okay, we can increase the price just a smidge. I can't believe we're selling this thing for $2,900. It doesn't make sense. Okay, there's the moneymaker. We finally got it back. So we produced 92. We sold all of them. We missed 49 sales still somehow. The main reason we're not making as much money, of course, is 34,000. Add this 34,000 to this, and we'd be making like 120,000. So we're doing good. We're actually financing some good research, but on top of that, we're still making a really good profit, and the money can go up from there. Try 29.50. We'll see where the ceiling is. 5 more months, but we're not going to make it. Okay, yeah, this is good. This is quite good. Missing only a few sales. Increase that price even more. I just feel dirty going over 3,000, but if the people will pay it, then we'll charge it. Oops. What happened? Factory cost or something? What happened? Factory costs? I think it might be the factory cost that... let's just take a look. I wanted to end the episode now, but now you got me confused. Alright. Line cost, 30,000 total. Where's only 4%, so that's not affecting anything yet. Material cost, total cost. Total cost is 121,000 for running this thing. That doesn't seem wrong to me. That seems fine. We go to here. Look at the previous month. Oh, it was the taxes again? Is it we pay taxes every quarter? Is that what the deal is? Yeah, okay. Okay, so we pay taxes every quarter, so it means every 3 months, I guess. we're just going to have to worry about... I mean, we're going to have to... Is it 3 months or is it every time in this time? I don't know. I wish I had paid more attention to this. In the easy game, yeah, okay, now we're back. So we were at like 85, 88, then we went to negative, and it was very confusing, but just taxes. Just taxes. So all is well. We're probably still missing sales because I didn't adjust that, but we're making 92 Phaetons. We're making good profit. We have good cash in the bank. So things are going well. And not only that, but we'll be able to submit our engine, the 190 horsepower engine, of course. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So we got a couple contracts that maybe we'll win, and if so, maybe we'll make a lot of money. We'll see. But until the next episode, I'm going to call this video to a close. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and take care.